Pixar fans, and welcome to my next Pixar review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Pixar's second film of 2015, The Good Dinosaur. Yes, this film was actually due for a release in 2014, after obviously the year after Monsters University. However, there were delays, there were problems with the technology, because they were trying to create something quite impressive. They had unfortunate problems with the technology, and the script, I believe, was rewritten as well on occasions. So this film was delayed until 2015. But of course, in 2015 we also had another Pixar film. We had Inside Out. That came out in the summer. This came out in the autumn, so November time. I actually saw it last year, just before Christmas. So, The Good Dinosaur. What is it? It's not what you'd expect. Well, it's what you'd expect from Pixar, but it's not what you'd expect from a film about dinosaurs. Okay, so, The Good Dinosaur. The story. The story is that it centres around this young dinosaur named Arlo. Him and his family run this farm. And Arlo is a bit of a frightful so-and-so. He's not very confident with the jobs he's doing, and he's causing a few problems, and he's just very fearful, and his brother mocks him for it and doesn't believe he can do anything right, but his father does believe in him and tries to show him that he has to look past his fear in order to get his job done. Then sadly the father dies, and then Arlo becomes separated from his mother, brother and sister, where he meets this young critter, as they call him, called Spock. Not Spock, I said Spock! What the hell? Sorry, I said Spock. I meant Spot. Spot, not Spock. Sorry about that. So yeah, Arlo meets this critter called Spot, and together they get separated from Arlo's family, as Spot has been stealing food from them. And it's about, the film goes on from there, it's about Arlo's journey to find courage in himself, and also he forms a friendship with Spot, and together they encounter many different creatures. In order to get back home, they encounter some T-Rexes, some pterodactyls, and Arlo's morale is put to the test, and yeah, that's really it. It's not very elaborate. So, The Good Dinosaur. How is this film? I actually think it's good. Yeah, I like it. It's good. I don't honestly get the backlash for this film. I mean, well, I kind of do, I guess, because The Good Dinosaur could have potentially been one of the best Pixar films ever if it had been released at a different time. I think if they'd have released this film at a different time, then it wouldn't have suffered. I think because it came after Inside Out, that it was going to suffer. Either way, it was going to suffer. Inside Out was a massive hit, and it really was critically acclaimed. It won the Oscar for Best Animated Film of 2015. So The Good Dinosaur really was under a lot of pressure to really get right, and considering the problems they had before trying to get this thing going, it does seem like, yeah, they were struggling to make this. But I honestly don't understand the bad critical reception. I mean, yeah, sure, it's nowhere near as good as Inside Out, I'm not going to say that, but I actually think it's good. It's good. I like it. It's a very simple story, of course. It's about Arlo trying to find his courage, and obviously, of course, the main message of the film is that it's okay to have fear, but you'll never be able to survive unless you can get past that. I mean, we all have fears. We all have fears and doubts, and that's something that's expressed very well in this film, and the fact that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that you can always get through your fear. You can always get through it. And I think the film portrays that very beautifully. And I really like Arlo as a character. He's a very innocent, young dinosaur. It's kind of ironic that they chose a dinosaur in this situation to be the one who's scared, because dinosaurs are more renowned for being sort of more ravenous creatures, but obviously he's a brontosaurus, so he's not one of the carnivores, shall we say. I think the idea of the story is very interesting, and the fact that his family are sort of farmers, and um, yeah, and I think his journey is very interesting. Like I said, it's not a very elaborate story. It's very basic, but you know, in this case, less is more. It works, and his journey is really interesting, and seeing him grow in confidence, and realizing that he has to step up to earn his mark. Essentially, that's the story, to earn his mark. Whereas his brother and sister, his mother and father, they will put their marks on the silo. Arlo needs to put his one on, which is very, very good. Um, I mean, obviously, the first thing to say really is the cinematography. I mean, wow, the cinematography is absolutely fantastic. It is flawless. This could be Pixar's most visually stunning film. Like the animation is just breathtaking. It's almost photorealistic. It reminded me of that film Dinosaur that Disney also made, not Pixar, but that Disney made in 2000, which had the actual realistic settings with the CGI dinosaurs in the shots, which was a nice blend. But obviously that film's a little bit dated now. This film is obviously a very different film to that, but the animation is absolutely superb. I mean, it is Pixar, and you really tell they've put a lot of effort into it. And there's some great scenes, particularly with Arlo and his dad. I mean, the very beginning, we see Arlo and his dad showing him the dragonfly thingies that are flying around. That's very good. That reminded me a little bit of The Lion King. I don't know why, but it reminded me of Mufasa and Simba. That scene, when he says, "Oh, Dad, we're pals, right?" It reminded me of that scene. I mean, they don't say that in this film, but just that scene, just kind of the father-son relationship is done well. I suppose you could say the film's a little bit predictable in the sense that you could see the dad dying coming from a mile away. So, giving Arlo the isolation, putting that character in the isolated situation of being on his own without his dad, without any of his family really, is good. I mean, obviously, there's a very good scene towards the end when he has a vision of his father rescuing him, but he realizes it's not real and that he has to go back and save Spot. And it's a very touching story. I'd say it's very touching. I don't think this is a masterpiece by any means, but it's certainly very sweet and it's done very well. I think the direction is very good, and like I said, a simple story, and I think kids will definitely get the message of it. So the animation's beautiful. The music score is good. There's not many characters in the film. I mean, most of the characters don't do very much because it's mainly Arlo on his own with Spot, and Spot doesn't talk. He makes noises, but he doesn't particularly talk. So yeah, the brother and sister, the mum, they don't do much. The three T-Rexes, they were good. I liked them. And they also helped Arlo to sort of, overcome his fears of the world, which is great. The climax, I think, is very good with Arlo going to rescue Spot. It's a very intense scene by the river, and we have a very sweet scene at the end as well when Spot is reunited with his family. So, essentially, you could say Spot and Arlo are two halves of the same character. Not necessarily, obviously they look different and whatnot, and obviously Spot is a human and Arlo's a dinosaur, but they both relate to each other, and I think that's very clear to see. I think that's the message they're going for, is that, Arlo realizes he's not the only one who's, who has been without family, and so he starts to realize that, okay, this kid is lonely, he needs some company, he's lost his family, and so have I, and it's a very interesting dynamic. And there's a scene when the two of them are sitting down, and Arlo creates like these, he puts the sticks up and he says, "This is my family," and draws the circle around it, and Spot does a similar thing, and it's very poignant, actually, for a film that's very simple. It's quite poignant, and I like that very much. there's not really much I can say. I mean, I really, I do feel kind of sorry for this film that it didn't do as well as it probably could have done. As well, you know, Inside Out came out in the same year, and only, well, a few months beforehand, so it was always going to suffer after the backlash of Inside Out. I mean, had Inside Out been terrible, which it wouldn't have been, of course, because it's Pixar. If Inside Out hadn't have been as good as it was, maybe this film might have stood a chance and might have had a better reception. I think the main general consensus with The Good Dinosaur is that people are like, yeah, it's okay, yeah, it's good, but I think it's good. You know, I think it's a good, solid film, and I think it really deserves more credit than it's getting. Like I said, the animation's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, the environments are just so gorgeous. I'll get to Inside Out eventually, and then we'll compare the two. But I really like The Good Dinosaur. I think it's got a lot of heart to it, and it's got a great message about overcoming fear and, you know, finding your place, you know, making your mark, essentially. And it's, you know, it's almost a film about independence. You know, if Arlo hadn't have had that experience on his own in the world, maybe he may not have become as brave as he had done. I do think, though, that I have a couple of pointers about the film. I don't think it's anything major to nitpick at, but there are some flaws. I do think the film is a bit slow in the first half of the film. It is quite slow. I mean, that is the intention. It is meant to be a slow-moving film, but you do kind of want them to pick up the pace a little bit. I think they do spend a bit too much time on the farm. Perhaps they could get to the real meat of the situation sooner. And I've completely forgotten what else I was going to say. I had another thought. Yes, that was it. The very end of the film. Directly after Spot has been reunited with his family. I mean, that scene is brilliant, by the way. That's really well done. It just kind of ends. Like, it just ends. It's Arlo goes home and they hug it out with his family, and then he puts his mark on the wall. Then it ends. It's like, oh, that was quick. It was a bit quick. They could have drawn out the ending a little bit more. I mean, it's not a bad ending. I like the ending. I think it works. I think, you know, him putting his mark on the stone as the final shot works. But just you needed more. You needed more reaction to his return. Like, his family. Like, surely you want to see them ask, "Oh, what did you do? How did you survive? How did you get back?" You know, you just kind of wanted them to see more explanation. It's kind of like filmmakers are like saying, "Okay, right, we've been here an hour and a half. Okay, let's go home now." I think they want to go home. They want to get their Christmas shopping done. Let's go home. Come on, let's go. It was a bit abrupt for me, but I'm not going to knock it too much. It's not too bad. So as you can see, I mean, The Good Dinosaur is a good film. I think it's made with a great amount of heart. It has a couple of minor flaws that I could point out. I mean, it was always going to suffer after Inside Out, which was, you know, unfortunate. But I genuinely believe that this is a good film, and I think it deserves a bit more credit than it gets. So I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's anything masterful. It's not anything majorly impressive, but it's a good film and it tells a good story with great heart. So, that's it, folks. Thank you all for watching my review of The Good Dinosaur. Tune in next time when I review another Pixar film. I've only got about 3 left to go, so yeah. So, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.